Hey, what's going on? Victor Adetiba here with scrumlife.com. We are back to read another excerpt from our book. We're picking up in 97 Things Every Scrum Practitioner Should Know, Collective Wisdom from the Experts. There we go. Let's get back in focus. This book was edited by Gunther Varen. We're picking up on page 22, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Start Using Scrum, by Simon Rendell. Let's get to it. This story comes from my first Scrum team, which was around 2006. We were building a new system that was complex and challenging, involving scanning and processing documents to be managed from a call center. Many of the team, including me, had moved on from a project that used many extreme programming practices. We were looking to use Scrum to improve our delivery. We eventually started to sprint, working on a 3-week cadence. We had an automated environment that we envisioned would generate the installation files and scripts, copy them to the test servers, and install and run tests overnight. This was pretty good going, or so we thought. All of this was being done using very new technology, and that technology was a cornerstone of the architecture and the product strategy. A few sprints in, and things were starting to get tough. We had completed a lot of the foundational work, and now we were trying to include a piece that was not integrating properly. The local expert on our technology wasn't available in the crunch time we still had in the sprint, leading into the sprint review. The sprint review arrived, and we hadn't been able to add and integrate the piece we envisioned. Actually, we didn't have anything to show. The last build was broken and wouldn't even install. It left us with nothing tested, and as a team, we had no confidence to share what was available. Our senior stakeholder, who was the manager responsible for the call center team, was present and had high expectations. As a team, we knew that we didn't have an increment. And that was what we told everyone present. We said we'd had nothing to show as it didn't meet our definition of done. There was quiet, a tense silence, as there was an expectation for at least something to be shown. We talked about our goal for the sprint, how our plan turned out, and our challenges. We described what done meant to us and that the product was not in that state. We discussed our plan to get to a working product version and the next features to bring in. Having patiently listened to us, we were then told in a very clear way that the project would not continue if we were unable to build a product that worked, and that something had better be seen soon. The stakeholders left. The sprint retrospective followed. There was huge tension as we gathered. We were angry, frustrated, and disappointed. We had spent weeks of hard work, and not only was there nothing to show, we were now threatened with the cancellation of further development. The event was heated. Voices were raised. There were accusations, complaints, and arguments. Fortunately, following all that, we had a very focused discussion. Not one of us wanted to be in that space again. Yet there was a sense of fear and panic that our project would be stopped. At the sprint review of a few sprints later, we had this new feature that was completed, and we were excited. It was pretty neat. We shared it with the same senior stakeholder. "Can that go live?" she asked. "Yes, it only requires your authorization, as it needs exec sign-off to make it through the process. Please make sure that it's live by 9 a.m. tomorrow. That feature is worth real money to my team." Because the item was truly done, we released it in production in no time. It soon turned out to be one of the features that was most loved by the team using the product, and it made a happy manager after all. That is how I learned to stop worrying and start using Scrum. I think that narrative is very similar to a lot of Scrum teams. They commit to work, sometimes so much work during sprint planning that they're unable to complete everything that they commit to. And sometimes they don't have a product increment at the end of the sprint. But that is actually one of the reasons that organizations implement Scrum, is to receive a small iteration, a tiny piece of working something at the end of the sprint that is valuable to their stakeholders. And when a Scrum team robs the stakeholders of that opportunity, they're doing themselves as well as the organization a disservice. We want to deliver in small increments because that gives us an opportunity to get feedback from our stakeholders and to adjust what it is that we're doing to make sure that it continues to line up and continues to deliver value every sprint. So it's really imperative that teams deliver working product at the end of each sprint. I think the second thing that I saw in this story is that it's great when Scrum Masters aren't afraid to let the team fail, and fail fast at that, because the faster you fail, the faster you learn from your mistakes, and the faster you can get back on track to delivering the things that you need to deliver for your organization or for your team. So many times I see Scrum Masters that want to keep the training wheels on their team and protect them at all costs, and oftentimes even protect them from themselves. But as a Scrum Master, it's our responsibility to get that team to a level of maturity to where they're able to stumble and fall and have conflict within the team, but learn from that conflict and come out as a better team on the other side of that. And that's really a reason why the sprint retrospective is so important, for the team to get together as a unit and talk about what went well during the sprint, what didn't go well during the sprint, and identify their Kaizen, identify the areas that they want to improve on for future sprints, and put safeguards in place so that the things that happened in the previous sprints that were not so good don't happen again. And so I think it's really important that we allow teams to have conflict, have healthy conflict, and resolve that conflict on their own, unless a mediator is needed or someone is needed to step in and kind of help the team keep from combusting, if you will, right? If it ever gets to that. And so with that, that's going to be it for this episode of ScrumLife.com Book Club. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Look forward to seeing you in our next episode. Peace.